One ordinary pig ate potatoes on disputed land, got shot, and helped trigger a 12-year military standoff between the U.S. and Britain. MPS preserves both camps and the homestead, so this potato patch crisis is documented history. The agency also maintains a pig statue with a potato in its mouth because sometimes the physical receipt has hooves. The problem existed before the pig. The 1846 Oregon Treaty placed the international boundary through the middle of the channel separating Vancouver Island from the continent. There were two plausible channels. Britain favored Rosario Strait. The United States favored Haro Strait. San Juan Island sat between them, claimed by both of them. The Hudson Bay Company operated the Bellevue sheep farm there. American settlers began occupying the island, land they regarded as the U.S. British officials viewed them as squatters on company property. Then, on the 15th of June, 1859, a Hudson Bay Company pig entered Coulter's potato patch. It was not the first time. Coulter shot and killed the animal. NPS says later the storytellers inflated the pig into a valuable prize animal, but evidence indicates the ordinary Berkshire boar, that's a black pig, Cutter offered compensation. Company manager Charles Griffin demanded $100, more than 6 times that pig's value, according to the park's account. Girl, the pig died once at the invoice and killed it again. The argument escalated because it was never really about the animal. British authorities threatened arrest. American settlers appealed to the military officials. U.S. troops under Captain George Pickett landed on the island in July, and British warships and Royal Marines arrived in response. Armed forces faced one another over territory whose legal status the treaty had failed to make clear. Commanders had opportunities to start shooting, but they didn't. British Rear Admiral Robert Baynes rejected demands for a landing attack. U.S. General Winfield Scott traveled west to negotiate a de-escalation. Both countries reduced their forces and established a joint occupation with an American camp on one end of the island and a British camp on the other. That joint arrangement lasted for years. The final decision went to international arbitration. Kaiser Wilhelm I of Germany appointed a commission of legal experts. In 1872, the arbitration favored the Haro Strait boundary placing San Juan Island in the United States. British forces withdrew peacefully. The pig was only confirmed casualty of the conflict, though, thank God. Now, that phrase is funny, but it should not turn the story into a fairy tale about harmless diplomacy. Ships, troops, weapons, settlers, indigenous homelands, corporate land claims, and imperial borders were all involved. The island was not empty space waiting for two governments to choose a line. The park's history sits within a much larger indigenous presence that the treaty powers didn't even center on. The why is painfully modern. Ambiguous paperwork works fine until daily life forces a decision. A treaty said the channel, and a farmer saw potatoes. A company manager saw trespass. A military commander saw citizens to protect. Each local action loaded more meaning onto the one undefined phrase. That's why the pig matters. It did not cause the boundary dispute, it exposed it. And because senior officers eventually chose negotiation over escalation, the ridiculous trigger did not produce a ridiculous body count. Honey, history rarely gives us a cleaner lesson. Write the boundary clearly, price the pig reasonably, and when somebody sends warships over a potato patch, let the grown-ups delay the shooting.